love that entrance.
All right, Joe has given me the high sign saying it is 6 o'clock, so I'd like to call us to order. In accordance with South Carolina Code of Laws, 1985, Section 30-4-80-E, the following have been notified of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting: the Herald, the Charlotte Observer, CN2, and WRHI. Our most exciting meeting of the year. Thanks, everybody, for joining. I'd ask you all to please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We'll now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You've all received a copy of the agenda. Were there any adjustments or corrections?
No, ma'am.
Then that will stand as presented. And as I said, it is our favorite meeting of the year when we get to recognize some of those that make our district what it is. I will let you start with this special recognition.
Who's here?
Good evening. As Ms. Spears said, this is an exciting night for the school district each year. We're going to select or reveal, I don't know who they are because I told Liza not to tell me the names, so I'd be surprised too. When we reveal the Support Staff Employee of the Year for the district and each school, and that's already been announced at the school level, and also the Teacher of the Year for the district and each school, and the 5 finalists that go with that. But a little history on the program itself. Back in the mid-90s, one of our first strategic plans had as one of the objectives a way to honor and employees. All we had was a Teacher of the Year program at the time, and it was run by the local Chamber of Commerce, which we appreciate for years. But we want try to step it up a bit and get some sponsors. And you'll hear tonight some of the awards, the rewards that these folks will get as a result of being selected at each school and at the district. But we wanted to step up our game a little bit, and we also joined in with the state Teacher of the Year program. So we've been a member of that process, or a participant in that process, since 1998. We do have one single semifinalist, and she's standing right there. Laura Merck last year was our Teacher of the Year and one of the 5 state finalists. Let's give Laura. Very proud of you. I'm biased. We should have had several more, but great job. But anyway, so that's a little history behind the program. It's certainly an exciting night. Before we get started, I'd like to thank all of our employees for their work. And I've done this, I did it at previous meetings when we did the longevity awards for particularly the past 2 to 3 years. It's been an amazing journey, and we appreciate greatly the effort of our support staff and our teachers. Basically, the teachers, as you know, is the award of classroom teacher, and then the support staff includes several of the other groups that work in our schools. So these are all these groups touch children in some way or another, and that's the 2 primary groups we're going to award or honor tonight. Let me start reading some of the background behind what everybody gets. You got that. All right, we're gonna call them up in a second, but just so you'll know and let's start with the support staff employees of the year. And I think we got them lined up first, right, Laura? Okay, I'm gonna get to their names in a second. Each will receive a $350 check, a designated parking space, I guess that's good, and an additional personal leave vacation day during the upcoming school year. The Fort Mill School District Support Staff Employee of the Year. Now that's what the school winners. She or he will receive an additional $1,500 check, a 2-night, 2-bedroom stay at Springmaid Mountain, courtesy of Leroy Springs and Company. We thank Leroy Springs for that. A medal and ring from Jostens, who is a company that serves our high schools with rings, and will serve on the Support Staff Employee of the Year committee during the next school year. So that's the fun part. All right, Liza, you gonna help me with the names, and board chair, Ms. Spears, could you or somebody come help honor these folks? And I think we're going to do one at a time, and they're going to stand, and then we'll announce the winner. Okay.
Okay. I'd like to start tonight with our first Support Staff Employee of the Year, Sarah Freeman, receptionist at Catawba Ridge High School.
Gotta come back, Miss Libby.
Karen Adams, R-Wing receptionist at Fort Mill High School.
You might as well just sit there. It's not gonna make any difference. He'll blur it out.
Catherine O'Brien, attendance clerk at Nation Ford High School. Stephanie Cost, media technology assistant at Banks Trail Middle School. Lori Leslie, media technology assistant at Fort Mill Middle School. Dawn Fight, Power School Manager at Gold Hill Middle School. Sarita Callahan, school nurse at Doby's Bridge Elementary School.
You got to get in the right order.
Cindy Caldwell, school nurse at Fort Mill Elementary School.
Told ya.
Rebecca Johnson, school nurse at Gold Hill Elementary School. Heather Leach, academic technology assistant at Kingstown Elementary School. Mike Goff, maintenance at Orchard Park Elementary School. Kristen Gomer, special services assistant at Pleasant Knoll Elementary School. Kelly Sitlow, kindergarten assistant at River Trail Elementary School. Samantha Root, registered behavior technician at Riverview Elementary School. Joanna Harrigan, technology assistant at Springfield Elementary School. Kimberly Larson, school nurse at Sugar Creek Elementary School. Charlene James, Power School Manager at TGK Elementary. Sherry Hartley, substitute coordinator at the district office. Jill Watts, administrative assistant, maintenance department. Kay Connor, student nutrition operations manager. Fred Johnson, bus driver, transportation department.
You're fine.
It's time for your reveal.
Nick says to tell you hi, by the way, Sherry.
I turned it face down so you can see
Lord.
right there.
Before we reveal the winner, is anybody here from Leroy Springs? They were considering sending somebody? Okay. She was, okay, all right. So I was going to let them say a few words as part of the sponsor. Okay, the winner is Christian Gomer, Pleasant Knoll Elementary School.
My husband would say I could always find something to say, probably, and then I like having the opportunity to say something, but yes, I did have the image going through my mind, wouldn't it be wonderful, but so, thank you. I have loved working at Pleasant Knoll Elementary this is my 11th year. Really, it's a fantastic place, so I hope everyone else has such a wonderful school to work at. And seeing as how my children came up through Riverview, Banks Trail, Nation Ford, and Catawba Ridge, and I was all very happy with their experiences. I'm sure you all have had a wonderful time, and I subbed all over the district before I started working full-time, and that was a wonderful experience. So I'm just truly honored and grateful, and this is wonderful.
Thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I'll say what they're going to get. That's the one I want. I'm just going to say what. That's the support staff. Where's the teacher? There it is, right there. Got it. Okay, Laura, you got them ready? In April 2022, we do the Teacher of the Year a little differently. We model it after the State Teacher of the Year program, which they go down to 5 finalists, and then we announce the winner. In April 2022, Teacher of the Year recipients at 5 schools were chosen as honor roll finalists for the 2022 Fort Mill School District Teacher of the Year Award to be announced at the annual Teacher of the Year. It was announced at the annual Teacher of the Year banquet in April. And we'll do the 5 finalists in a minute, but just so you'll know what the winning teacher will receive is an additional check for $1,500, a 2-night, 2-bedroom stay at Springmaid Mountain courtesy of Leroy Springs and Company, a medal and ring from Johnston's, serve on the Leadership Council of the Fort Mill Teacher Forum, and represent the district in the South Carolina Teacher of the Year competition. She will also have use of a new vehicle for 1 year from State Line, I believe, right, Joe? These cars will be brought to their school to choose at a later date in the presence of her colleagues. So it's an exciting award package. So why don't we go ahead and get everybody up here and we'll go from there.
Christy Slater, Human Geography teacher at Catawba Ridge High School. Danielle Herring, Special Education teacher at Fort Mill High School. Christy Cruft, Early Childhood Education teacher at Nation Ford High School.
Don't be running on. Gotta pay the piper.
Tabitha Estacio Arce, 8th grade ELA teacher at Banks Trail Middle School. And I'm going to do my best. Elisa Schwolkowski, 7th grade math teacher at Fort Mill Middle School. Melissa Grupp, literacy specialist at Forest Creek Middle School. Jennifer Eisenhower, band teacher at Gold Hill Middle School. Allison Coyne, 7th grade science teacher at Pleasant Knoll Middle. Did I pronounce that wrong? Okay. Kayla Keller, 1st grade teacher at Doby's Bridge Elementary School. Anna Marks, reading recovery teacher at Fort Mill Elementary School. Delaney Costanzo, guidance counselor at Gold Hill Elementary School. Robin Fenice, literacy math interventionist at Kingstown Elementary. Nicole Swank, special education teacher at River Trail Elementary. Our next winner is Elke Wahana. I even got help and messed up. ESL teacher at Sugar Creek Elementary. Kimberly Logan, 3 through 5 grade gifted and talented teacher at TKK Elementary. Oh, excuse me. Yes, we do. All right. So our 5 honor roll teachers, which are our finalists, as Dr. Epps shared before we got started here. We want to start with, in no particular order. Our honor roll teachers are Mandy DeMayo, literacy coach at Riverview Elementary School. Rebecca Lips, art teacher at Springfield Middle School. Kimberly Long, special settings teacher at Springfield Elementary School.
Nope, nope.
Meredith McDowell, second grade teacher at Pleasant Knoll Elementary School. Shannon Pruitt, special settings teacher at Orchard Park Elementary School.
Where's my cheat sheet? There we go. Okay. All right, so I think I've already read that. Did I read that already? Yeah. Okay, I did. I was just for emphasis, the $1,500, the mountain Springmaid Mountain stay, the medal and ring from Jostens, the leadership council work with the teacher forum, and represent Fort Mill School District in the Teacher of the Year, and also the use of the car. Now, Joe, when are you going? We're going to announce the winner, and then we got a video. Okay, all right. I'm coachable. Let's see if I can pronounce the names. This year's representative for Fort Mill School District in the Teacher of the Year, Amanda Lee DeMayo. Before we dismiss them and before we start, oh, you already started? Just want to say this, I'm sure these folks would tell you, and the support staff as well, they're representing all the fine people we have back at home at the school, and we're proud of those folks and all of our winners. Let's give them all another round of applause. State line person couldn't be here tonight. She's out of the country, so we have a video.
I want to personally congratulate Mandy DeMayo, this year's Teacher of the Year. The influence of a good teacher can never be erased. It extends beyond the classroom and well into the future. You have the ability to change a life and plant seeds that grow forever. I just want to say that we at State Line Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, we love you, we appreciate you, and we can't thank you enough for all that you do. I wish I could be there in person today, but I am honored to have the ability to recognize your outstanding achievements and an excellence that you have shown all year with the gift of a free vehicle for 1 year. I look forward to congratulating you in person so that you can select your new vehicle. Thank you again for all that you do for your children, and congratulations on this elite achievement.
Still don't have anything to say?
Yes, just a thank you.
I thought you might. I never heard many teachers that didn't have something to say.
I usually do. Thank you guys so much. I have, I'm nervous, obviously, and I'm a little surprised, but I'm very, very, very humbled to accept this award. I love Fort Mill Schools. I love Riverview Elementary. I love the students there, and my teacher girls are here. Stand up and say. My principal's here, my old principal's here, and thank you all for coming, and I'm so excited to represent our school district.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
Congratulations.
Y'all can hang around for the rest of the people's work if you want to, but
Wait to see what car you pick.
I know, right? They got a new product line, so I don't know. Very good.
That's what
They're
I was,
carrying that product line now. I actually just noticed it over the weekend, so, you know.
I think Laura got a card. All right, I'll give him just another second to get out of the room.
Right?
All right, I think we're good. As I said, our most exciting time of the year when we get to recognize all of just a small sample of the secret sauce in our district. Our next agenda item, since we have some other things we have to do, we do have public participation, and I see that we have one card. So I believe it's Jean Ashcraft. If you want to come up, when you get to the podium, you can state your name and address. You've got 5 minutes to address the board with anything you'd like to talk about.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Gene Ashcraft, and I live at 202 White Grove Drive in Fort Mill. And this is a tough act to follow, let me tell you. Just had my 50th reunion, and I'm from Northwest Ohio. And as my wife continuously explains to me, everybody's younger than me. The teachers are so young looking. So that was really good.
And half of them are from Ohio, too.
How about that? So, doesn't hurt a thing, does it? So, at any rate, this is pretty anticlimactic, but my grandson was here. Okay, first off, I put 4 kids through the system, okay? And we've been here since 2001, so that pretty much gives me 20 years of running in the district. My grandson was here over the weekend, and he thinks he's a kicker. So at any rate, long story short, we took him around to every middle school in the district to practice some kicking through the uprights and yard markers and what have you. And lo and behold, every facility is locked. So I stopped in here Monday morning and discussed it with a young lady who promptly told me that you guys would be happy to rent me the facility so I could do that. I just wish to know, I guess, really why, okay? I could be one of those guys that says, 20 years of paying taxes and all that baloney, but I am here and I have given a lot to the community, and I'm just wondering why it is that if you want to take your grandson over to one of the fields on a Sunday to practice a little kicking or throw the ball around, that they're locked.
Thank you. We have reviewed that policy a number of times, and at this point in time, between the insurance companies and the damage we've seen done to some of our fields, we've decided to leave them only available through rental. So certainly something we can always revisit, but that is our current policy.
Okay, so I would just say from this side of the podium, okay, that once again, it's my opinion, humble as it is, that a few that have messed with the system have ruined it for the many. Okay, again, and lastly, I don't think it's right. I think there should be something put in place that maybe one school a month, one school a week, one school this date or that date, could be open, because I know there's a boatload of parents out there that would love to be walking around that track every once in a while. And all these facilities are here. And being from Northwest Ohio and a small community, I started in the basement and graduated in the same building, okay? So, so this is all kind of new to me and big and what have you, but I still think that you should visit some plan, okay, to allow the community, since it is the community that's actually paying for it, okay? So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
I'm looking, our next item is an update from York County Government. Oh, there he is. And I was looking to see, we have Kevin Madden with us, who's the, what is your title? Assistant County Manager, Treasurer, CFO, man
Something
of all
like
things.
that.
Yes.
Something like that, yeah.
He's important.
That's right.
No, just a county employee. First off, thank you for what y'all do up here. It's always fun to see something like that tonight. I don't get to go to school board meetings like I used to in my previous occupation. It's nice to pop into a school board and watch y'all do what y'all do. Wanted to stop by, and first and foremost, I want to say thank you for your staff. Dr. Epps and Leanne have been wonderful to work with. You know, we've gotten to a point right now where county management is very happy with where we're at and the path we're going down at this point. I think y'all are aware last night, County Council passed a resolution to send the impact fees to the Planning Commission. Some of y'all have been through this before, to go to the Planning Commission and then 3 readings and a public hearing with County Council. So county management is very happy with where we're at, and again, very appreciative for the work that your staff has put in with us to get where we're at right now, and just want to come here publicly and state that, and thankful for what y'all do, and happy to be able to work with y'all like this to get to the point we're at.
Thank you.
Okay. That's it.
For those who may not be aware, we've had back and forth for, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years since the impact fee was implemented, and we believe we've now come to an agreement that the district and the county think is a way that we can spend the dollars that we've been collecting, and so that's what is moving forward now, we hope.
Yes, ma'am.
It's very exciting. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you all very much for what you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
We do have several reports and information coming up, starting with 5.01, the summer program review. Dr. Mike Wakesness.
Good evening. So as you all know, learning does not stop in the summer for our students or our teachers. The summer always provides us a great opportunity to extend the learning for some of our students and provide training for some of our teachers. So this evening we're going to talk about the opportunities that we have at elementary, middle, and high school. And first I'm going to have Amber Smith and Peter Ollinger come up and talk about the elementary programs this past summer.
Hi, how are y'all?
Good.
Good, thank you. So for this summer, we implemented Space Camp again. This was year 2 of Space Camp, and if you recall from last year, Space Camp includes several of the programs that had run separately previously, and to combine efforts, we put them into one program called Space Camp, and those are our kids from this summer with their drone shot for the end of the year. So you can see they made the Riverview rocket symbol on the ball field. This year was 16 days long through the month of June, which was over 100 hours of instruction, 268 students, kindergarten through 4th grade, from all 11 elementary schools that were represented. We had two half-day programs that were just the morning and then ended about 11 o'clock, and then we had 3 full-day programs that ran at the same time. So all of those served breakfast and lunch before the students left for the day. And then we had 49 staff members. That includes the teachers, administrators, instructional assistants, student support. We even had some guest speakers this year. You can see one of the pictures on the top. We had 2 NASA engineers Skype in with us this summer so they could explain what their jobs were and how that fit into Space Camp, so that was a lot of fun too. We had so many contributors and so many people that make Space Camp possible locally within the district. Transportation ran a lot of buses. I don't even know if I could tell you, and they ran an extra half route in the middle of the day because those kids went home midday. So that was quite an undertaking, and they were absolutely amazing to get that together. Student nutrition provided all of our food, including food for our teachers. Special services provided us supports, access to IEPs, all the things we needed to help with that. Facilities, we couldn't have done this without space, so we thank Riverview and we thank our facilities folks to make sure that we had everything that we needed, and curriculum instruction to drive that train once we got it in the station. You want to switch now or you want me to keep going? Okay, I'll keep going. So this was a quote, I'll let you guys read it, but this was from our, the woman with the gift bag there was our literacy specialist from the State Department who came and did our audit for our summer reading camp program. And that was her response. It says, I could sense the family atmosphere and nurturing culture of your school. Please don't forget to share my notes with those 2 teachers, which we did, and let others know that I peeped in on them as well. Each of you play an important role in the lives of those young scholars. Please know that we at the SCDE appreciate your dedication and individual skill sets as you make every day of summer reading camp count. So that was a nice little testimony to our, just one small segment of our program that got audited. And then I did dress up as Miss Frizzle again this year, not to be disappointing anyone.
Did we get you a bearded dragon?
Yeah, no dragon yet. We're going to work on it for next time.
And I do want to thank Amber. Amber puts a lot of work into this and organizing, as well as Kay DeWalt, who was our administrator for the summer program. A lot of work went into it, so thank you, Amber, for that. I'm going to talk just briefly about funding. We do use a lot of different pots of money to do the different parts of the space camp. We used ESSER 3 funds and this will be going on next summer as well. This was part of our half-day program where we really focused on the rising second graders who were struggling in literacy. And Jamie White and Amanda Griffin helped, as well as the schools, to identify these students. It was a great program. We also used Title IV funding this past year. It can be used for different things, but this past year we used it for a rising third grade literacy camp. That was also a half-day program. So we were able to add kind of 2 components to the previous year's summer program to focus literacy. And that was part of the COVID slide and just trying to rebuild those skills, which we've had great success with that. And then we also used Title III funding, which is for English as a second language learners, to provide a camp for those students as well. So that's how we funded part of it. And as you mentioned, summer reading camp for the third grade camp, that's used from state funds. And then we locally support the lunch and learn part of that with district funds. And I also want to thank, I'm sorry, I went the wrong way. So I also want to thank the Springs Close Foundation. They have, for the last several years, they help fund through a grant that we write. They support the meals that the students are able to take home on the weekends. So the students that qualify for the backpack program throughout the year, those students have an opportunity to come to the lunch and learn portion of Space Camp, and then they get the backpack over the weekend as well. So they're a huge contributor to what we're able to do for our students. We want to thank them as well for that. And the Foundation for Fort Mill Schools was huge. They help also with Classroom Ready. A lot of times you think about that with the first day of school, but they also help provide the needed summer supplies for the camp itself, plus students that might need a backpack or anything that they need. So a continuous year-round effort on their behalf to make sure our students have what they need for the instructional day. And again, thank you to Riverview for hosting yet again. They've been a great partner for our summer program.
And then just a final shout out to our leadership team that ran the program on campus at Riverview. I think one really neat thing about this program is that it provides some leadership opportunities to teachers. So everybody that you see up there is or was a classroom teacher, one of whom has moved on to administration for us this year. So it's a great opportunity for them to gain some administration experience and some work outside of the classroom in that administrative role. So huge shout out. We could not have run the program without them, and literally they were running around the building every day, keeping the whole thing moving. So I just want to publicly thank them. All right.
In this last brief slide, we did just want to recognize that there was all the work that teachers had the opportunity to do some professional learning over the summer. So we did offer, Amanda Griffin, our ELA coordinator, did offer a writer's workshop, 2-day kind of conference in district for our teachers if they would like to participate. And then there was kind of a stage 2, the writer's workshop, digging deeper using data. After they've kind of gone through that workshop, it kind of gives them more tricks to the trade. And then Christy Spolgunski from River Trail, she had done a math and practice book study for River Trail last year, and she and Ms. Stager were nice enough. They offered it up to all of our elementary teachers within the district, and they ran that through Google Classroom. So we had about 20 participants through that from across the district, from the 11 schools, so we appreciate that. And I also want to note we did have many schools, most of our schools, and we had many teachers that attended a 3-day conference for Solution Tree for the PLC conference in Charlotte, which Dr. Wakestis and I will be talking more about in a few minutes. So I just wanted to share that we did have teachers busy at work this summer.
So, of course, in addition to the elementary folks doing a whole bunch of stuff, we also had a lot going on at the middle and high schools. And I'm going to ask Yashika Latimer to come up and talk about some of the work we did for middle schools.
Good evening. So for our summer curriculum work for the middle schools, we put together a 2-day session for math, science, and social studies teachers. We asked each principal to identify one teacher per subject for each content area to send. So we invited a total of 54 teachers to come join us for the summer to work on curriculum within their respective content areas. Each teacher received a stipend, breakfast, and lunch, so we make sure we fed them so they wouldn't have any hunger issues there. And each content area was facilitated by an assistant principal, the coordinator, director, and executive directors also oversaw the process. And Dr. Wakesness at that time was transitioning to assistant superintendent, but he was still in the trenches with us. For the summer math curriculum, what we did after, we all came together for breakfast throughout both days, and then we broke off into content areas. So I'm going to talk to you about what we did with our summer math work, which we're really, really proud of. Our teachers worked really hard, and one of which was actually acknowledged tonight as Teacher of the Year. So we actually had the teachers come together. We met as a whole group, and we discussed goals and what we wanted to accomplish for the 2-day, which was to actually have some collaborative teams going on, some grade level planning, some vertical alignment. And so we worked together, put the teachers in breakout groups, so they broke off by grade bands. And then they actually worked through pacing guides, so looking at state standards, looking at their own curricular material. So we didn't ask teachers to change anything, but to just try to create some consistency across the district so that we can make sure that if we ever have an issue where students move from one school to the other, they're not missing any content. The vertical alignment was also so that we could make sure that we were attending to any areas within our standards where we may have some gaps or some misconceptions to make sure teachers are able to fill in those holes for our students. At the end of our 2 sessions, and in the next slide, I'm going to show you a little bit about the results, but our teachers requested opportunities to complete the same process for GT. So originally, we only had the process for 2 days for our regular grade levels, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So after the teacher's request, I went to Dr. Wakesness, and we were able to honor that request. So we came back together in July and created the same process for our GT students as well. They also requested additional time for collaboration within their content areas throughout the school year. And so we're also honoring that by bringing them back together in grade bands on October 17th for part of the day. Teachers also wanted professional learning on assessment, interventions. They want opportunities for themselves to lead PDs. And so with what we did with the Engage to Learn, they would also have those opportunities, but they want those spaces throughout the school year as well so that they can learn from each other, share resources, talk about things that are working in each other's classrooms, and share things that may help out with the students that they're serving. So our results of our 2-day, and I have a couple of copies for you, so if you'll pass that down for me, please. In our June session, we created teacher pacing guides, and that was for our regular 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes, math classes. We also created parent documents. So the teachers took their pacing guides, which are very detailed, and they scaled them down so that we could have something that they can share with the parents. So teachers have those opportunities to share those with the parents. We are also working on posting those on our district-wide website so that parents could go there and look at that as well. We also created what we call What Your Students Need to Know, which is a transition document. So our teacher came up with essential skills that students would need to know when they're entering into 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. And so that's what we accomplished within our June session. When we came back together in July, we did the exact same thing for GT. And so for Algebra 1, we only did pacing for middle school Algebra 1, the year-long classes. We didn't do it by semester. But they also created parent-friendly documents for GT students as well, and also a transition document for what your kids need to know as they're entering into each grade level. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Wakesness.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
If I may.
Yes, please.
Is this a paradigm shift compared to past?
So previously, we had pacing guides, and those pacing guides were probably about 5 years old from transition within the position. And so some teachers had pacing guides that they were using that had been passed down to each other. Other teachers, as we were getting new teachers, did not receive those materials, and so they were using what they had within their schools. So each school had their own pacing and scope and sequence that they were working through. We just wanted to collaborate and create one across the district.
Thank you for that.
No problem.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
So you may have noticed we had 3 of our core areas on there. We did not have ELA or our related arts folks, and we do plan to work on that this summer. We didn't have enough of resources to do all the content areas, so we do hope to do that. Also, ELA, supposedly there's new standards coming out. They're in public review process right now at the state level, so we didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on creating pacing guides when we know there's new standards coming down the road. So that was some of the curriculum work. For our students, we had all different sorts of programs, a few of them up here. The math camp at Springfield Middle, the web program, the web day at Gold Hill Middle School, and swarm camp for rising 6th graders at Fort Mill Middle School. There were other programs beside these. These are 3 of the ones that we wanted to pull out. So similar to what Peter talked about with the elementary folks, we had a lot of training with our teachers going on this summer. We attended the Solution Tree PLC conference in Charlotte that Peter mentioned. I think as a district, we had about 40 to 50 different people there learning about professional learning communities, which we're going to talk a little bit more later in the meeting. The SCASA Innovative Ideas Institute Conference, SREB High Schools at Work National Conference. We always have AP teachers being trained over the summer, which is a costly training, but probably one of the best trainings out there for our AP teachers. It's required training by the College Board, so lots of different training opportunities going on for our teachers. Questions for any of us on the summer programs?
I know this is essentially a debrief of last summer, and we're sitting here in September, but sounds like you're already thinking towards next summer and capitalizing on some of the learnings and maybe even expanding into some other areas. Is that kind of what I read in between the lines?
Certainly. And as our curriculum team grows, the coordinators we've added, it's going to make it a lot more effective now that we have Yashika, the work that she did this summer, and she kind of doubled as science also. And that's when Greg was coming on board, and one of our teacher leaders helped out a lot. So as we hopefully continue to add curriculum coordinators, it'll help us be that much more effective. But yes, we do plan to continue this summer coming up.
And in particular, I know we've got ESSER dollars for at least one more year, right?
Yes.
I think. Okay.
Yes.
Questions? Thank you. Very
All right.
exciting.
Thank you.
Some impressive work. But don't leave.
I'll stay
because
up here.
I believe you're up next to talk about PLCs.
All right. So yes, tonight we're going to talk a little bit more about professional learning communities. And PLCs, when you hear me say PLC, professional learning communities, that's one of the terms that has picked up about 100 to 200 different meetings over the years. And sometimes what people think of as a PLC is very accurate, and sometimes it's just not really what we're talking about when we talk about PLCs. So we're trying to develop a very common definition of what we mean when we talk about PLCs in the Fort Mill School District. And before we get into the heart of the presentation, I do want to say that in my 20 plus years in education, PLCs are, in my view, the most powerful school improvement tool. Mainly because it takes the expertise in the building, the teachers, and it utilizes their expertise for improvement for student achievement. We're not buying a program, we are not bringing in an outside trainer, but we are really utilizing the experts, our teachers in the schools, and getting them to collaborate on common goals to increase the learning for our students. It is a major part of our district strategic plan, so hopefully you'll hear us talk about it a lot over the next 5 years. I found this quote and I love it. Terms travel easily, but the meaning of the underlying concepts does not. And I think that really sums up PLCs, because if you ask 20 different educators what a PLC is, you're probably going to get 10 different answers. So our job as the district leadership is to make sure we are clarifying and drilling down on this for our teachers. So when I start working with people that are new to PLCs, the first thing I like to tell them is take everything you know about PLCs and erase it from your mind, because it might be right, but there's probably some discrepancies in what you're thinking and what we are thinking, and really try to get everyone to take a fresh look, a fresh approach to really use one of the most powerful research-based tools out there, the professional learning communities. So some of the common understandings that we have as a district, and it's not unique to our district, this is, if you look at the PLC literature and research, this is the same thing, but it's not a program, it's not a meeting. Sometimes we say we're going to a PLC meeting, and it kind of is a PLC meeting, but really a PLC is how we operate as a district or as a school. Teachers are grouped together in professional learning teams, so when you hear the term PLT, that's what we're talking about. And the PLTs are the building blocks of the PLC. So the PLT is different for each grade band. So in elementary schools, it's probably the second grade teachers all grouped together, or the fourth grade teachers, or the fifth grade teachers. In middle school, it is your grade level content. So your seventh grade science teachers make up a PLT, your sixth grade ELA teachers make up a PLT, and so on. And then high school, it's usually by course. So all the English 2 teachers, or all the geometry honors teachers. It's always a little bit more challenging at the high school level because of scheduling, but it can be done, and we're all at different stages, and we'll talk about that, but it typically is a little bit more challenging at the high school level to implement. There are 3 big ideas of a PLC, and we are really trying to talk a lot about these 3 big ideas this year, as a focus on learning, a collaborative culture, and results orientation. So when you have a PLC meeting, or when you're acting as a PLC, you should be focusing on these 3 things. So the first one, the focus on learning, and this is the most important idea of the PLC process, is the premise that the fundamental purpose of a school is to ensure that all students learn at high levels. So the focus really shifts from teaching to the learning. Of course, you have to teach, that's what we do, but we're really looking at the learning, we're looking at the outcomes. So I remember way back in when I first started teaching 20 plus years ago, there was a lot of teachers who had the thought of, well, I taught the material and it's up to the students to whether they get it or not. And that is the complete opposite of what we want to be doing. A PLC, the first big focus is on student learning, not necessarily about what you are teaching, but what the students are learning. And I'm going to have Peter come up and talk about the other big ideas of the PLC process.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about collaboration, and I love PLCs. It's been a great success. Our elementary schools are doing a lot with it, as well as middle and high. But you're going to hear, and you may, throughout the course of the year when we do school spotlights, they may mention their PLCs, and that's a big reason why we wanted to share this tonight. Well, a big piece of that, and you're probably going to hear over and over again, is the collaboration piece. I don't know how, I feel like I had a great education growing up, but I would fair to say that most of the time our teachers would kind of teach us. They would grade the papers. That's what they got. Maybe they'll do better next year type situation. That's not every case. But what we wanted to really do is have teachers plan together, not just what they're teaching, but to look at the data of what they're doing and how they're achieving, to see what changes need to be made, what remediation needs to take place. So with the collaborative culture, first thing we have to do is provide that opportunity for them to meet and set that expectation. And that may look a little bit different at the beginning of the journey towards the end of the journey. And you may hear us talk about too, schools are at different places. And we mentioned in the past that we do have 2 model PLC schools in the district, and they may be a little bit farther ahead than the others, and that's okay. But we, sorry, I keep hitting that by accident. But what you need to do is be able to set that schedule and allow that opportunity for your kids, your teachers to meet and talk about what the planning is going to be, what the instruction is going to be, how are we going to assess it, and then when are we going to look at results and what does that yield when we do that. So, and again, that depends on where you are in the journey. And that when it gets to the results orientation. So that means, again, we teach it, we look at the data, but then what do we do with that data once that we have it? And that all can really be summed up through the 4 critical questions, and this all goes back to those focuses. So if we believe all students can learn, the first thing we need to do is we need to determine what do we expect students to learn. And I attended my first PLC conference probably back in 2005 or 6. And I remember they had said that they brought experts together from all the different fields. And they said that if you were to teach every standard adequately to where it needed to be, it'd take 23 years to teach 13 years worth of standards. So we don't have 23 years, we have 13 years. So what we have to do is really go through the essential standards and determine what are the most important. And then we also look at how do we know that they're learning it. So that is where the common assessments come in. If teachers had different tests and different assessments, it wouldn't be measuring apples to apples. So that's the importance of the common assessment. So we know that they are assessing the same thing. Then when we get those results back, how do we respond when they do not learn? And that's where our MTSS program comes into place, where we provide interventionists, where we have reading and math interventionists, reading recovery teachers, literacy specialists. We're able to use those folks as well as our homeroom teachers to provide extra support when they see that, when that is needed. And then how do we respond when they have already learned it? That is also what kind of enrichment opportunities are we providing our students? What kind of projects can we give? How can we enrich that learning if they've already mastered those standards? So, and in that process, there's certain things they talk about you can be tight and loose about. And I just want to spend just a second talking about what they're tight about in a PLC, and that is work in collaborative teams and take collective responsibility. They have to implement that guaranteed and viable curriculum. That means what are those essential standards, what are the focuses of what they're going to look at unit by unit and throughout that year. And Yashika talked about, the pacing guides. That a lot of those are going to have that information in there. What are the high points that we need to hit throughout that year? And then we're going to monitor that student learning through common assessments. End of year data is great through our state testing, but having that unit by unit, we can help provide that intervention as we go instead of waiting to the end of the year to see what that assessment provides. So if you use the results of those common assessments, and then again have that systematic intervention and enrichments in place. And the team also, they're going to use evidence from student learning to inform and improve the practice. So again, going back to that data. So I know we went through a lot of that. There's a lot that goes into this, but we're going to try to hit some high spots. And Dr. Wakesness is going to talk to you about what's up next.
So yes, that is a lot of information, and there's a lot to it. And it's important to know that all of our schools are at different levels, and that's perfectly fine. In the PLC journey, you'll always be at a different level, because if you have a professional learning team of 3 7th grade social studies teachers at one of our middle schools, and then one teacher leaves, you just replace 33% of that professional learning team. So it's always kind of a dynamic, shifting, growing process. And I know some of our teachers are worried, like, we haven't really been doing this, and we're not sure what's next, and that's perfectly fine. And we're going to work through step by step with our teachers on this. And some of our schools are national models, and some are national models. They just haven't been recognized yet, but they could be. And some are at the beginning stages, and that's fine. We're going to grow as we grow our strategic plan. So what questions do you have on the professional learning communities?
I have one, and this is more of a acute clarity. So last meeting, you all shared with us the performance, the improvements of our schools, our students, and whatnot. So very happy about that. And I asked a couple questions last go around. So these are the questions that I had asked. So the first question was, even with our high performances, what are we doing to keep improving? And then I also asked, what was the district's strategy to recover the learning and keep us moving forward? And you mentioned leveraging the strategic plan. Is this one of the items you were referring to?
Yes, this is one of the main items I was referring to. And when you're a high-performing district, it's hard to keep improving because your scores are already really high. If your scores are low, and I wouldn't say easier to improve, but there's a lot more room to improve. But when you're already pretty high up there, it's hard to improve. The PLC process really helps teachers with the laser focus on, okay, this is what this student knows, this is what they don't know, here's how I can help. And not just that one teacher, the whole team, the collective team. So this is one of the main focus areas we're going to have as we go through our strategic plan.
Thank you.
It seems to me that the maturity and the evolution within our district anyway has started more at the elementary level and is now working its way up through middle and high. Mm-hmm. The scores that we were just talking about, I know they've come out for K-8 or 3 through 8 largely, but I think they're now starting to come out for EOCs and things like that this week as well. So is there now an opportunity to figure out how to focus PLCs and other remediation activities at the middle and high school level as we see more of that data come out and find out sort of where the opportunities are?
Yeah, I think the same process. It's really just getting the secondary teachers used to the expectation of collaboration. And I wouldn't say expectation of collaboration because they already are collaborating. It's just refining on exactly what it is that you are collaborating on. And the scores were released by the state, the EOC, again, at the very top of the state, if not the top of the state. So we were excited with that. But again, room to grow as always.
And I'm assuming we can talk about those scores at an upcoming meeting.
Yes. Yeah.
They released them today.
They were released at about noon today.
It was embargoed until today, and we had already seen them, of course.
Yes. Yeah, so I can say that if we're not number one in the state, we are definitely in the top couple. We compare it to the districts that we usually compare to, and we were higher in each of the EOC areas. There's just no easy way to check against every single district until they release the data file. I know this is getting into the weeds, but looking at the districts that we usually compare ourselves to, we had the highest scores. Yes. Yep.
Love that interpretation.
Thank you.
So I know you talked about the conference that everybody went to this summer, and I'm sure, having been to lots of different conferences, you come out of those sessions really fired up, ready to implement additional things. From a board perspective, what are some of the ideas coming down the line that you feel like you're going to need our support on to keep driving sort of the train, keeping the train on the tracks and moving forward? What do you anticipate some of the needs that you're going to have to support this strategic initiative?
I think having plenty of time for planning, for teachers to have planning, that's a key. They need to be able to do this work during the school day. And then also having somebody to lead that process at the school. It could be the principal, but the principals have a lot of other things to do. It could be an assistant principal. They have lots of other things to do. We've seen some districts where they have a PLC facilitator at the school, that their primary function is to focus on the development of PLCs. Of course, that would be very costly, but we visited a school district outside of Atlanta. I can't remember exactly which one, but before COVID, and that's what they had at their high schools, because they ran into the same problem at the high school level. It's challenging with the scheduling and the setup, so they had a PLC facilitator at each of their, I think they had 4 high schools, and that was something they did to help implement them in their high schools. But I think teacher planning time is the number one aspect.
Other questions?
Any other questions?
Well, thank you, sir. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
We've now got an agenda item for superintendent's report. Any updates?
Yes, that's me. I thought I'd take this opportunity to kind of update the board and the public on and provide some clarity of the events of last week at Fort Mill High School and at other schools. To tell you, we live in interesting times today. I think there were 5 schools in Iredell that were under bomb threats. I read the news clippings that we get each day from SCASA. There were, I think, 6 districts in the state in South Carolina that either to Monday or Friday dealt with weapons and threats, and then there were ball game situations, and I think Carowinds had an interesting weekend, if you read about that. But just wanted to make a few statements and tell you what we're thinking. First of all, let me say I want to take a moment and thank our staff and law enforcement for their quick response to the recent threats made at Fort Mill High School. From the moment the first message was reported, our school and district staff were in constant contact with law enforcement, working to identify the individuals involved and provide extra security measures at Fort Mill High School. In situations like these, we work closely with local, state, and federal law enforcement to determine if a threat is credible. And let me break off the script there for a minute and just assure the public that I think I read here, we work with local, state, and federal. We were asked not to reveal by those agencies who was involved, and I guess they have their reasons. But we had law enforcement from all 3 of those levels, so you can let your mind wander on who was involved. These are experts that deal with school threats on a daily basis, or sadly on a more frequent basis than they need to. Once it becomes a threat to a school or a threat to people, it becomes a criminal event, or criminal charges are pending. We do our investigation at the school level, but we have to back off where the police come in and have jurisdiction. So we listen, we're compelled to listen to their recommendations and abide by their recommendations. So that's why you got the information you got. At the public, I know it's frustrating at times, but we were doing as we were instructed to do. And there's reasons that law enforcement, I've learned a lot through the years. There's reasons that you can't tell the public or can't tell everybody everything the information you have. I will say that we work closely with them to determine if the threat is credible and it is safe to operate school. If we operate school, then you know that we have enough information to feel like it's not a credible threat. And we said that, and I know that's not comforting to a lot of people, but I assure the public and I assure our parents and our students that we were in possession of information that let us feel like we could operate school. If not, we would have taken a different strategy. I'm happy to report that the individuals believed to be responsible have been identified and will now face school discipline and criminal charges. We want to thank our teachers for their hard work to continue learning in the classroom. Thank the community for their support as we all work together to keep our students safe. Remind everyone, if you see something, say something by reaching out to the administration or our tip line, which can be found on the district and school website. In that regard, the district is constantly reviewing and updating our security measures, and following a situation like this, we will evaluate the implementation of these measures for improvement. We're not perfect. We learn from every exam, every crisis, and every situation. I just want to assure you that it's a fluid document. It's not a set of rules today that may not apply for a different situation tomorrow. So we're always evaluating. At the next school board meeting, in fact, we will hear from Rich Todd, our district safety and emergency services coordinator, about our safety measures and possible new initiatives as part of his safety update report, which we do about every semester. Just close by thanking everyone. You know, the schools are just a reflection of the community. We need everybody's help to educate these children, to keep these children safe. It's not just us in this ball game. We're all in it together. I realize the gravity of our responsibility, and I know that as soon as something happens, it often feels like from the inside, and I'm talking from the inside, it often feels like we're getting blamed because we didn't do something we didn't. I don't take it that way. Don't take it that way. We're talking about our children and their safety, and if we can improve something, we do it. We need to do it. But I want you to know how much we care and how much we take our responsibility, the gravity of our responsibility, seriously. I've watched these people work daily basis, these principals and these teachers, and they would actually, I'm sure they would lay down their lives in many cases for student safety. I know I would. Just want to provide a little clarity in the last week, because I know it seemed like the public was not getting information, and that's maybe something we can look at, but we were giving you what we could. The timeliness of it, we were criticized heavily for, but there were reasons for it. But just know, I guess it's the society we live in and what's happening across the country. I get it. I get the fear. I just know our people, and I know that if we feel good, if we feel like this is a correct strategy, then I would hope people would give us a little, would trust us in that regard. We're not going to send your children to school, our children to school, if we feel like they're in danger. I don't know if I need to take questions or just kind of cleared up, because it was such a stressful week, and we're still tracking down some leads on some of the other loose ends, but we do feel like we're in a good position as far as the ringleaders.
I think the only thing you didn't mention, if I think about last week, was social media, both on the student side and on the community side. Unfortunately, on the student side, that is still something that students need to realize how serious things that may sound funny are not funny, and are taken very seriously. But also on the community side, there's no way you can compete in speed with social media information. And so, like I said, if there's an opportunity to consider a different cadence, you consider a different cadence, but it will never keep up with the pace of rumors and social media, and but that's an unfortunate reality. You know, you can only do so much when it's like whack-a-mole with different theories and strategies and ideas popping up and here and there and everywhere else. So, like wildfires.
Well, and truly, our staff, our resource officers, the police department, and all the rest of alphabet soup, however you want to deem that in your mind, were amazing. And while I'm sure it's easy to sit and say, well, you don't have a student in the district or in the school or whatever the case happens to be, yeah, I do. I have 18,000 plus students in this district and in our schools. And every single one of them matters to all of the people sitting up here and all of the people that are in administration, in teaching, and resource positions. They matter to us as much as they matter to you. We may not have given birth to them, but they're ours. So please find some grace with the process, because it really is a good process. We've been working on it and refine it all the time.
I just want to thank the staff in law enforcement for all the work that they did. They put in a lot of time anyway, but they doubled up. I mean, they put a lot of time into resolving this as quickly as possible. And I just want you to know your efforts were appreciated.
Fort Mill PD, hats off. I mean, it took such a lead role. This is in their jurisdiction. Chasing down interviews at 11 o'clock at night, knocking on people's doors. It was pretty much ongoing I just want to convey my thanks. I wrote the chief a letter today. Thank you.
Dr. Epps, I want to echo everybody's thanks. Specifically, though, I want to highlight Principal Beam to you.
Yep.
You know, the board met at Fort Mill High School on Monday when there was still a lot of uncertainty.
Already scheduled, nothing to do with it. Yep.
And I was very impressed with the control that he demonstrated. And as a result, I felt completely comfortable being in that building with him being at the helm and knowing that the district was responding, but also that the Principal Beam was in complete control of what was going on. And so I think he did an amazing job. And I know that he had a sleepless weekend and probably many nights after that. So I think he should be commended and thanked for his role specifically.
Baptism by fire.
A new principal at that.
That's right. Yep.
I asked him, did he figure this would be his first week on the job? No.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that there's still some progress being made on any of the loose ends, and it does seem like school is back in session somewhat like normal again. We have an action item to certify delegates for our School Board Association assembly in December. I don't actually have the document in front of me. I believe we have 6 delegates.
We have 6, I believe 6 votes.
Right.
And we can have up to 6 delegates, or we can send one and an alternate. So there is no, it is not required that we fill all seats.
All 6 spots.
Yes,
So I would think we can do one of 2 things. By December, we could either assign everybody and know that some subset will go, or we can pick 2 or 3. And I think this year, Scott and Anthony and I were the short straws for this year's opportunity.
Really?
Enjoyed last year.
Short straws.
That's right. Double shorts. Well, and I'm happy to be a delegate or an alternate to the delegate, because I will have to be there for state obligations anyway.
Likewise.
So.
And don't get me wrong, it's a great meeting.
It's fun.
It's just this particular voting process is a little bit laborious.
Arduous, maybe?
Yeah.
Arduous.
We're changing that.
Count me in as a delegate.
Wonderful, thank you. and I hear Mr. Bodie down there.
Yeah.
Yes,
I had the joy of serving last year, and I would love to pass the torch to you as well.
Do you want to make a motion then?
Oh, I can do that.
All right. Okay.
I am not stepping on Miss Branning's toes.
I would like to make a motion that we nominate Dr. Frateroli, Ms. Spears, and Mr. Bodie to be the delegates for the SCSBA Delegate Assembly, and Ms. Branning, Mr. Bolden, and Ms. McCarter as alternates for the 22 Delegate Assembly.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, so the motion and the second is for myself, Mr. Bodie, and Dr. Frateroli to be the scheduled delegates, and then Ms. McCarter, Mr. Bolden, Ms. Branning as the alternates.
Correct.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. I believe that is the end of this session. We are in need of an executive session to receive personnel recommendations, discuss legal issues, and contractual issues.
Motion
So
to
thank
go into
you
executive session.
all for